What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the end of the year episode of the Nick Williams Show. My name's Nick Williams. I'm an independent filmmaker and producer north of Boston. Joining me behind the cameras is my producer, Max.
Hello.
Max, how was your holiday season?
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I have no complaints.
We've taken a couple of weeks off here, but we're
Yeah.
back. And I have a little bit of an outline for today's episode, which is rare for me because I'm such a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy, you know?
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk today mostly about New Year's resolutions
Mhm.
and not the typical kind like I want to lose 50 pounds because let's face it, that's not going to happen.
Okay,
In
but
fact, it's the opposite. I'm going to gain. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? I'm going to gain a whole bunch of weight. I do have a couple of things that I want to talk about, but if you're an independent filmmaker or trying to be an independent filmmaker at any age, I would say mostly younger people though, because we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. This is a very important episode, and I'm going to be giving a lot of um updates regarding this channel and the direction this channel's going. And what's a better time than the new year to do that?
yeah.
Max, would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. 2025.
This is the year, Boa. This is the one. Um, before I get into that stuff, I would love to do a little topical bitch fest conversation.
Mhm.
You know what's fine? This is the other thing. One of my personal resolutions, though, that I am serious is I'm going to try and stop swearing as much. Um, a very close individual to me was showing my channel or was going to show my channel to somebody who was very close to them, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if that's like let me meet these people first." You know what I'm saying? And then,
You're the guy on YouTube who swears a lot,
right,
right?
right, you're the guy who hates everyone and swears and screams and yells all the time, right? Very impressive. So I'm going to try and be not as negative. I'm a very emotional person, so I highly doubt that that's going to happen. But I'm going to try and stay more positive. But first, on the negative note, I've been watching. I watched. I binged watched Squid Game season 2.
Oh, how was it? I haven't even put in a dent.
Yeah, yeah. The first episode was actually really decent, and I think what happened was in order to pitch Netflix on a season 2, they wrote this first episode, and then Netflix said, "Okay, that's fine, but we wanna have a hand in the rest of it."
Uh-huh.
Um,
Not good.
well, it's not that it's not good. The first episode, like I said, was pretty decent. By the way, we'll put chapter markers in the description down below. You can skip ahead if you don't wanna hear this crap. But well, the first episode was decent, and it kinda picks up where I'm assuming you, like everybody else in the world, you watched the first season.
Of course.
Okay. So, it picks up kind of where that season left off.
Mhm.
Um, and player 456 who won at the end of last season. Did I just ruin it for everybody?
Oh god. You
Um,
spoiled the
right,
couple-year-old show.
right. So that guy is doing everything he can to find the guy who did the game playing with him initially before he gave him the card. Anyway, they find him. It's a whole thing, and then he ends up being required. It's his own fault. He ends up being required to play the games again, the Squid Game again. So he's back in and he's helping people, and there's all this stuff. But they you can tell that Netflix had a hand in it. They have two, there might be three, but I'm pretty sure it's two trans people.
Hey there. They can get sucked into the Squid Game too, dude. They're not exempt.
Well, of course they're the heroes. So you have one trans person, male to female.
That's not very fair to the other Squid Games competitor.
Just wait. Just wait. So you have who is a this is and see, this is where you lose me in the storytelling aspect of things, okay? Why is it that you have this, so you have this one trans woman, right?
Mhm.
There's two of them. One's a total fucking asshole. I'm serious. And the other one is like this badass, used to be a sergeant in the military, and now is a woman,
In the Squid Game.
6'7", very large individual with long hair, cute haircut.
Fabio.
Cute haircut. High pony with the side bangs that come
Oh,
down.
nice.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Very cute. Very womanly. Feminine. Right. So here's where you lose me. So you have this one that is and listen, I'm not attacking trans people. I really honestly I couldn't care less. But for the sake of storytelling, like let's have some consistency here, okay? So you have a trans woman who is in the Squid Game thing game who knows how to play all the games, very big strategic they have to have at one point all six of these people are tied together there's like in groups of six and they're tied together like a three-legged race except it's six people wide, you know what I'm saying, or five people
Yeah,
wide,
yeah.
and they have to go around and play these individual games, and each member of the tied together team, there's five games, each one has to play a game, and
Uh-huh.
there's some cool games in there honestly. The one that the trans woman has to play, I don't know the name of it. It's a
Pick
Korean game.
pick the bathroom.
Nope, it's not Pick the Bathroom. Fuck, that is bad. I might have to cut that.
No, that was a good one, dude. That was a
Just
zinger.
wait till I tell you what this thing is, the scene that happens. So, like, the trans woman is guiding her team through the entire, uh, it looks like a rainbow with five colors on the ground. I'm not kidding. And it's in the form of a circle. And at different points on the circle, they are the games. So
Uh-huh.
they have to walk together and they do one, two, one,
They have
two.
to
They're
walk
helping each other, right?
they have to walk the rainbow.
They have to walk the rainbow to the other people, and once they get to the masked people with the game, they put a little rock in the thing, and the person gives them the items to play the game with, okay?
Uh-huh.
One of the games that they play that when it gets to the trans person
Uh-huh.
is a game that looks like a cheerleader's pom-pom, but
Uh-huh.
it's attached to like a hacky sack. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they have to bounce it on their foot. At least it has to go from the time they start, it has to go up in the air and then it has to hit their foot at least 5 times. So meaning the last one, the fifth one, it could just land there as long as it touches the foot,
They're good.
they're good. They don't have to bounce it, keep bouncing. Okay, it's only 5 times they pass.
So each person has to bounce this hacky sack
No,
once.
just one. So okay, let me break it down again. You have five people
Yeah.
standing in a line
Uh-huh.
next to each other, shoulder to shoulder,
Uh-huh.
and in the middle, their legs are tied together,
Uh-huh.
okay, like a three-legged race, except it's five people wide.
Yes.
They have to maneuver themselves around this rainbow, around a circle, and at different points in the circle, there are five masked people with guns.
Yeah.
They each play a game. So there are different teams. If they don't complete the circle within 5 minutes, so they're like bullshit games. Like they're little, like it's like playing
Yeah.
jacks or something. You know,
Yeah.
you bounce the ball, you grab the jacks, whatever, shit like that. Um, each person on the team can only play one game. So by the time, so like if someone doesn't do really well, it could cost the team a lot of
Yeah.
time because you can't be like, oh well, I'm good at that, I'll do it.
I
You know,
see. Yeah.
and it's a decent thing. Here's where you fucking lose me. So in one of these teams, the one with the trans girl, who's a complete badass, who like they end up getting guns later, and she's the one who's like, I need more ammo, give me cover fire, and they're just fucking, and it's like, all of a sudden she goes into like dude mode, I guess. Yeah, they flip, whatever,
Is it a
whatever.
white person or is it
No, 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 it's a Korean person. By the way, no blacks in this episode or in this season, and there's no Indian people like there were in season one, and I'm very frustrated about it.
I didn't realize they rock with that over there.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
I think it was net I think
Netflix.
it was Netflix's way of saying, "Hey, Korean cinema, if you wanna have a show that does as well as the first one that didn't capitulate to the liberal
Yeah.
bullshit,
Also, for, like, the biggest show Netflix has ever done.
biggest show Netflix has ever had, and now we need you to change it to be more liberal. How dare you? How dare you have a show where people get killed and we don't kill trans people? Like, I don't know.
Oh, they survive?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, that, like, where are we at with it? Now, I think they also did this thing where they release half the season, so there's only 7 episodes out right now, and that better not be the whole season because by the end of episode 7, I was going, "Well, this was a fucking waste of time."
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna watch it,
Okay,
like
so hold on. So the game that let me just make this point really quick. The game that the trans person has to play is like it looks like a cheerleader's pom pom that is attached to a hacky sack. They have to bounce on their foot 5 times.
Mhm.
Now, see, here's the thing: you can't be badass.
And not bounce a hacky sack.
You can't be a total. No, what happens is she grabs the hacky sack thing and puts it on her foot and is balancing it on her foot and goes, "Guys, don't look at me. None of you can look at me." And then she looks at the crowd of people because there's only 2 circles and you can only have 2 teams of 5 going at the same time.
Yeah.
And everybody else who's waiting, these other 300 people that are waiting, they're sitting on the ground in the circle waiting for these people to either finish the race or not, and then if they don't, they just get shot right in front of them, right? Okay. So she turns to her team and says, I'll do it, just don't look at me." And then she looks at the other guys, she goes, "Nobody look at me." And they all just fucking listen. And they're like, "Oh, okay." Right? Number 1. Now I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, I'm a really gross individual because I guarantee you that this chick doesn't want people to look at her going like this, bouncing this thing in a tracksuit that might show some unfeminine qualities in her pantsular region,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's no fucking way that that's really what it is. Nick, you're so gross. How could you be so transphobic and think that she doesn't want her schlong flopping around?
Don't look at my hog while I play hacky sack.
Right. And literally in the next scene, the person, one of the old ladies who doesn't understand transgenderism because it's definitely been prevalent, it's definitely been around for thousands of years, but nobody's ever heard of it till 10 years ago. Um, the old woman player comes up and says, "Hey," they win, obviously, whatever, right? And the old woman player comes up to the trans person after the game's over and goes, "Oh, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna being good. I'm being good. Why did you not want people to look at you when you were so good and you did it so quickly?"
Uh-huh.
Again, apparently I'm not the gross one because the trans person goes, "I haven't had all of the surgeries yet that I want to have,
What?
and I didn't want people."
To see my
um
massive South Korean hog.
right, the soul of myself.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
That's fucking
So this
crazy.
badass with a gun who used to be a sergeant in the military, who hasn't had all of the surgeries yet that they need in order to feel like they want to live their life the way that they do. Now these people are over 18; they can do whatever they want, and I don't judge.
I'd love to
Okay,
meet the person who, like, wrote that, though. Like, the
what the
writer.
fuck are people
Yeah.
thinking? I'm telling you, man, the thing that's one of the things that's so frustrating to me about these Netflix shows that are trying to be PC or like liberal inclusive to trans people, gay people, whatever it is that in order to do that, they have to bring these topics and things to light that are like personally, I feel like they're kind of racist and transphobic and everything else.
Well, it's wild to me that they try to pander to such a small minority of people
Mm.
instead of, like, just make something like, you can be trans and still like a good movie, you know what I mean? That has nothing to do with trans anything.
I know trans people who don't give a fuck and think
Yeah.
it's dumb that they include this shit in there because they're just trying to live their lives. They don't need to have a spokesperson for everything. And
Yeah.
by the way, like obviously I made the joke about not having any Indian people in the first in this season like they did in the first season.
Uh-huh.
But like how dumb would it be for uh Indian people to be upset that a Korean show doesn't have Indian people in it?
Yeah.
They're Korean.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
How many Indians live in Korea, I wonder?
Well, even if they do, the show is a Korean
Yeah,
show.
yeah. Unless you're gonna have, like, an Indian person speaking Korean.
I don't thi and which is what they did in the first season.
Yeah.
But, like, I just don't understand why we can't tell stories. See, here's the thing is, like, as an artist, as a filmmaker, I think it would be wrong. I don't wanna say wrong because you can do whatever you want, and it's the way you express yourself. And I don't know why I would, but if I wanted to make a movie about an African tribe from 1,000 years ago. I guess if I did my research the right way, I could. But like, why would I have any interest in making that film? I'm not African.
Maybe you like the culture.
Maybe, but like, do you get what I mean? Like if I like, okay, somebody had to sit in a room and say this Korean trans woman has a dick still, and it's
Yeah.
gonna bounce and flop around to an embarrassing degree where everyone would be disrespectful enough to point and laugh at this person. The fact that they're in Squid Game, and by the way, not the first game. The first game is the red light, green light. They all know by the point of this scene happening that they would die
Yeah.
if they lose the game. The fact that the trans person would be more concerned about people staring at their
Hog.
external vagina, their inside out vag.
Yeah, I'd be pissed if I was your teammate and you were concerned about that. I'd be like, "Bro, I don't give a fuck.
I'd say,
Finish the fucking
if you don't
game."
bounce that fucking thing off your foot, I'm gonna bounce your head off my foot, because if you don't do it, they're gonna kill us all.
Yeah,
That's the point of the show.
I'd be so mad, bro.
It j
I'd be heated. I'd be like, "Bro, figure it out. I don't care."
and, like, I'm not trying to get into, like, a whole, like, I watched the rest of the show, and it was just a moment, but I was sat there thinking to myself, a group of people, more than one person, there's different layers, you have to get things signed off. A group of people who probably were not trans got together in a room and said, "How do we make trans people feel included? Ooh, let's make it so that people, we have to talk about dicks, right? Because they don't like their dicks. But maybe she still has. How do we talk about dick? Maybe she still has hers. Maybe she still has her dick. What a! I never thought I'd say that
Yeah,
sentence.
that is crazy. Maybe she still has her dick, bro. Did you ever think about that?
But,
Thank
like, it
Thanks,
literally it
Netflix.
literally added nothing to the show. It added nothing to the series. It was just a weird storyline, like a weird moment
Side quest.
yeah. And, like, by the way, after, like, she explains why she didn't want people looking at her, I felt gross. Like,
For even looking at her. You'd look away from the television when
no,
she
but, like,
asks.
I was just kinda like, "Why?" Like, "Why?" And I think about it from a production standpoint. Like, I'm thinking about these people sitting in a room going, "Maybe she should still have a dick." Like, what? Like, what the f like, they're in they're playing games in order to not get killed. I thought that was the point of the show. It's a gruesome, disgusting display of you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Saw the game.
Right, times 456 players. Why do we need to hear about this shit? Like, where's the I just don't get it. I don't like, I didn't understand, like, why that was, like, a needed "Don't look at me." Or what?
Yeah. Yeah, or what? What are you gonna do about it?
And I don't mean that in a dick way, I'm saying, like, so nobody can look at you, and if they don't look at you,
Well, no, like, if a kid did that, like, say if I was in elementary school and some kid's like, "Don't look at," like, "I'm looking at you," like, "Fuck you."
well, these are all adults, Max.
Well, yeah, but even still, that's a childish thing to do, to be
Mhm.
in a room full of people doing a task, and to be able to finish that task, nobody can look at you.
Not to mention the fact that you're literally under threat of being
Death.
your head blown off.
Yeah. Like, "Fuck you, buddy. No
No
way."
one can look at you? You're okay with all of the men with guns pointed at
It'd be
you.
funny if there was an audience in the Squid Games room, like a packed stadium.
See, at that point, I would have continued to have the no looking thing. At that point, I think it would have been funny to have, like, the whole audience put, like, brochures up over their face like that.
Yeah.
10,000 people in a coliseum like that. How good would that be?
It would be on par, I feel like, for South Koreans to have that kind of respect.
For trans people?
Oh,
They're extremely
no,
conservative, dude.
no, I mean, take away the trans aspect, just in general.
Don't do that. That's transphobic. Now you're a transphobe. Take away.
Uh,
Trying to take away that dick, you know?
genitalia does not explain gender. That's why I must cut mine off
To affirm it.
to affirm that. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. I like to a side note, I like to pay my respects to President Jimmy Carter.
Dude, I can't believe it.
Rip.
I can't believe it. Such a young, vibrant soul.
That's a good run, 24 to 24. He lived through the Depression, World War II, all the other stuff.
Trump,
Trump, Vietnam,
Korean War. Oh,
Korea, the Korean War. Oh shit.
that gets mentioned in Squid Game too.
Really?
Yeah, Korean War.
Or they call it the American. They call it the Vietnam War, and Vietnam the American War. Fun
Mm,
fact.
yeah, it's interesting.
Do you know? I saw this video. Side note, but
Quick side
I
note.
guess in Vietnam a lot of American soldiers go over and visit, and they have like all these tour guides,
Mhm.
and the tour guides will like hide in the old traps that the Viet Cong set and like jump out and scare the soldiers. Like bougie eye. Like,
Jesus Christ.
I just think that's kind of funny. You watched your buddy step on a landmine 60 years ago,
Yeah.
and some 20-year-old Vietnamese guy's like, "Boo."
Yeah, that's fucked. I don't like that. That makes me extremely uncomfortable, if I'm 100% honest. I'm not really a
Well,
fan of
imagine
that
how
at
they
all.
feel. Imagine you pay for a tour guide. He just gives you PTSD.
Yeah, it's no good, man. It's no good.
Rip Jimmy Carter, though.
Rip Jimmy. Rip Jimmy.
Good guy. Only president in heaven.
All right, settle down. Settle down. Reagan's got to be up there too. Settle
I
down.
don't know about that one. I think Reagan's looking up with his dick sucking wife.
All right. Relax. That's not
Nancy gave it good, bro.
enough. Enough. I'm not. This is not what the show. I'm going to cut this part. This is not what the show's about. Okay. So now we're going to move on to some resolutions and some channel updates. First and foremost, I'm adding 2 series. So in addition to the Movie Mob podcast, which drops every Friday with Matt and RJ, and sometimes Sam, depending. That'll be every Friday. Nick Williams show I'm going to do every Monday. We film them on Mondays and drop them on Mondays, so that'll be easy. But I have 2 new series. One of them I think is going to be a limited series. It'll be between me and my dad. I have to go over things with him, and that'll be premiering more toward the spring, probably March or April. We're going to pre-record a whole bunch of them. We got some good feedback from some of the reels that I posted. He was
Yeah,
in over the weekend, and
I like the ones that I saw.
yeah, and he's a funny guy. And there's a lot of cool stories that I want to have for myself and future generations of my family for him. He also has some cool stories that I would absolutely want to make into some short films because they're so absolutely ridiculous
Yeah, my dad's got a couple like that too.
that unless that even if I made them into a film, people would be like, "Where? What did you do? Acid before you
That'd be
wrote this?" You know?
that'd be a cool show to do. Just call it like Dad Lore,
I was gonna call it Dadcast.
Dad Cat. Well,
You
no,
know what
I'm
I mean?
saying like
Or
if you
Dad Pod instead of a Dad Bod.
no, I mean like if you did like a show, like an anthology series of like dad lore, like cool dad stories.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we're doing.
That'd be cool.
We did the first episode, and it took a little bit of a dark turn. Not with each other, but his past. He does have some. Listen, in order to have a crazy past, you got to have some. There's some
Yeah,
negativity there that
yeah.
that prompts the.
Can't be all good.
You know. So that'll be coming out too. But in the meantime, before that comes out, and I would love to just continue it as long as possible, but I'm going to start dropping a series. I'm calling it The Real Hustle. Insert logo thing here, whatever, which is going to talk about the reality. I'm done with this sugarcoating bullshit of YouTube talking about here every filmmaker should watch this. Every if you're trying to be a filmmaker, like I'm sick and tired of that. And I also genuinely believe that the film industry as a whole is changing and has been changing ever since things like YouTube came out and stuff like that. The and I'll get more into this during the episode, but the reality of the situation is that a whole bunch of people moved out to California. There was nothing there. And somewhere along the line, someone came up with the idea of creating motion pictures. That became an art form. But then everybody who was out there in the 1920s developed this industry around making films. Then there were people out in California who saw them making films, and a lot of the filmmakers invested money in buildings with big screens and said, "This is where you can watch the films." And then they became the dictators of what is a film and what is cinema and what is everything else. And there, in my opinion, there is no other art form, not painting, not sculpting, not music. There is no other art form that has such a strict set of guidelines and a metric for success as filmmaking. And I personally think it is an absolute load of bullshit.
That is crazy.
There are standards and there are things that happen like art auctions where people will buy paintings for millions of dollars from.
Banana taped to a wall.
Yep, well, no, but, like, my point is that the banana taped to the wall is YouTube to the film industry. For, I would say, the first 50 years of film, at toward the end of the first 50 years of film, TV came out, and everyone who was in Hollywood who made film thought TV was pathetic. They were losers. As recently as when I was a little kid, the actors would you would there were 3 types of actors: people that went into TV, people that went into movies, and people that went on stage. That was it. And they didn't interact. They all thought they were the greatest. And if one was like a movie actor doing television would be asinine. That would never happen. Then we had streaming services get invented, and now you're seeing all these problems with Hollywood. You see the writer's strike, AI, more money for these people because they can't measure the metrics of streaming services and things like that. And the industry as a whole, especially thanks to COVID. So thank you, liberal fucks, because you've shaken the whole thing up. But because of COVID and everything else, people couldn't go to the movie theater anymore. And the only metric for success in the film industry is how many people go to the theater. Box office budget or box office revenue is how we measure success in the film industry. But does that mean that if you can't get your film into a movie theater that you're not a successful filmmaker? I don't believe that that's the case. If your paintings aren't in an art gallery, or if they're not at Sotheby's being sold at auction for $60 million, are you not a successful artist? No, that's not the way that it works. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I have family members who are sculptors who are very well off, and a lot of artists in my family that are successful with their artwork. I don't think that film should be any different, and I believe that making movies is an expression of yourself. So I don't think that I'll ever make a movie about trans people, but I'm not trans. I'm not going to make a movie in the future about the black experience because I don't experience the black
Exper
experience.
The Jimi Hendrix experience.
Right. That doesn't mean I don't like black people. That doesn't mean I don't like trans people. But in order to win an Oscar these days, you have to have certain requirements that are escaping my mind right now, but we're going to do a little swipe transition to the point where Max finds them on Google. Okay. These are the standards right now that were implemented very, very recently. I would say 2018 or later about winning an Oscar. If you don't have all of these or check off these boxes, you can't win an Oscar. Now, here's why this is important. Because and I'm not saying that these rules or whatever should be changed. I just don't care about winning an Oscar anymore. To me, winning an Oscar back when I was a little kid was really the end goal because it was the recognition from the community, from the A list of the best of the A top dog, whatever in the film industry. This is the metric for success was box office success and winning an Academy Award. And if you won those two things, if you did really well in the box office and if you win an Academy Award, you're set and you're good. And then that's the recognition that you need in order to be considered a good filmmaker. And I think that that's a load of shit.
That is crazy.
Here is the metric for, or the requirements in order to win an Oscar. Give me a little bit more pluses because they're very far away and small. Number one, lead or significant supporting actors from unrepresented racial or ethnic groups. This may include African American, Black African, or Caribbean descent, East Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or Mongolian, Hispanic, or Latino, or Latinx. So, if you want to be successful and win an Oscar, these are the standards that you have to meet. Now, here's the thing: you could be a filmmaker from Idaho and never seen a black person in your entire life, but if you don't have these, you can't win an Oscar. They will not accept you. And recently, there's a film called "Am I Racist?" It's a documentary made by the Daily Wire, who's a conservative group. And the Oscars declined, the Academy declined to even watch the film and vote on it. Now, I'm not saying how I feel about the movie Am I Racist? But should it not be left up to the general public? Which, by the way, the film was extremely successful. It's one of the most successful documentaries in American history. Um, and the Academy Awards that have a section for documentaries um, didn't even they didn't even want to acknowledge that it existed because they think the movie's racist or it's promoting white supremacy or whatever it is. But artwork should not be determined. The quality of artwork should not be determined by anyone other than the consumers, in my opinion. If you want to win an award, fine. But the award itself does not determine whether or not you're a good artist, in my opinion.
Not anymore, at least.
And here's why. If you don't believe me, this is right from the what's website is the Academy
This
Award
is Oscars.org.
Oscars.org organization. This is right from them. This is on their website. In order to win an Oscar, you must have first thing is lead or significant supporting actors from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups. This may include African American, East Asian, Hispanic or Latinx, indigenous peoples, Native American, whatever, Middle Eastern, North African, Pacific Islander, South Asian, Southeast Asian, anybody who's not white.
Yeah.
If you're an American filmmaker and you want to make a story about German people, they better be black trans Germans.
Yeah, well, see, like, that's the thing that annoys me because it's like, if I was gonna do, like, a historical epic or something,
Right.
like like, on feudal Japan.
Yeah. Here's the thing that aggravates me about it. I'm not black and I'm not trans. And I think that it is worse to tell the stories of people whose experience you don't understand. So here's the other thing. You get shit. I guarantee you I would get shit if I made a lot of stories about black people.
Yeah,
I'm not black.
yeah, what do you know?
What the fuck do I know about being black?
Yeah.
But if you don't have at least a lead or major supporting cast member of one of these minority groups, you don't get an Oscar. How the fuck is that the metric for success for filmmakers? Here's the other thing. Section 2, general ensemble cast. At least 30, this is right on their website. At least 30% of all actors not submitted for Oscar consideration are from at least two underrepresented groups, which may include women. What is that next one? Racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ, people with cognitive or physical disabilities who are deaf or hard of hearing, as an example. Section 3, main storyline or subject matter. So now imagine, because if you have like, let's take it back to regular artwork, art that the general public considers artwork. Because I know that filmmakers consider what they do an art form. I know that musicians consider what they do an art form. But the general public, if you were to walk up and do a little Johnny on the spot, hey, what do you consider to be art? Who would you consider a famous artist? Before you heard Steven Spielberg, you would definitely hear Picasso.
Yeah.
Van Gogh, right?
Yeah.
Photography is an art form. Still, you'd hear Picasso or Van Gogh, I would say, as at least in American
Mhm.
culture, you'd hear them as a famous artist.
Monet.
Monet, Rembrandt, right?
Yeah.
French. Imagine if there was a list like this for painters to be considered famous painters.
You have to be gay.
I'm not kidding. Imagine if after the success of Monet and Rembrandt and all of these people, when Picasso showed up and decided to put a woman's tit on the forehead and their eyes where the nuts should be, if people said, that's no good, we're not doing that. It doesn't matter how you want to express yourself or what you want to do. If it doesn't look like these paintings over here using these same type of colors and the same subject matter, you're no good.
That's kinda sketchy because, like, historically, like, when art starts to get criticized like that, it's usually no good. Like, the Nazis were kinda like that with their art.
Oh, it's a totally fascistic
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
of rules. And as an artist and as someone who thinks that it is extremely important, movies are extremely important, TV is extremely important from the perspective of, I mean, it can change your life. Like a good film.
Everything everywhere at all at once, bro. Changed
Let's
my
go back
life.
further. Wolf of Wall Street.
Yep. Yep.
Let's go back further. The Grinch,
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, King Kong,
Fire.
uh all of these types of stories and the way that as human beings we need to tell stories. I feel like a lot of Gen Z, and this isn't your fault. You grew up in a time where technology is so prevalent that without it you can't even really function. Let's be honest. Do you know what people did in the 1930s and 40s if their radio broke? First of all, if they had a radio, that was the television. They all sat around the radio and listened to the news and they listened to talk shows and they listened to music and whatever else. And on Christmas, mom usually, but sometimes dad and whoever else would know how to play the piano. And they would literally, this is the cringiest shit ever now looking back, but this is what they did for entertainment. Families would sit around the piano and they would sing songs and play the piano just to each other, singing songs together,
Entertaining themselves.
entertaining themselves, doing puzzles, telling stories.
My generation's like, "Yo, look at this TikTok."
Right. And that's and you know what? That's fine though. That's okay. But the people that want to make movies as their way of telling stories and putting the way that they see the world out there. How can you put a box around people like that?
Yeah.
Who the fuck do you think you are to tell me how to do and produce my artwork? And if I don't follow your rules, I'm not an artist. I'm not good enough. That's some Nazi ass shit to me.
Yeah.
So go fuck yourself. I'm going to tell my stories the way that I want to. And I'm going to preach to other filmmakers out there to do the same. Now, if you're trans, does it mean that you shouldn't make movies? Of course not. What are you, a fucking idiot? Go make movies about being trans. If that's what you want. You should be able to make movies about whatever your little heart desires, whether you're black, trans, Jewish, whatever it is. And for other people to put parameters around this shit because they feel like there's an underrepresentation of the stuff, go make a fucking go be like Jordan Peele and make Get Out. Or go make a movie. What was the other one that he did there?
Nope.
Yeah, Nope is another one.
That was a good one.
And they're successful. And they're made by a black person. And they have black characters in them. But if I'm going to make a movie about one of my father's stories from the 60s in Rockport, Mass., a dry town, mind you, there's not even any alcohol in the town. You cannot, still to this day, you cannot buy alcohol in Rockport, Massachusetts. They don't have a single liquor store. Thankfully, they have one of the biggest alcoholic communities in the world. Gloucester is right next door.
Gloucester.
People get off the boats and they need a little warmth, you know? A little liquid courage to go fishing. I don't fucking blame them. I wouldn't be a fisherman out of Gloucester. You ever seen The Perfect Storm? Fuck that.
It'd be funny if someone made a movie and included, like, everything on this list. Just made the greatest movie of all time.
They do. Hold on, there's more. Let's keep going through this. So this anyway, so the reason that and we're gonna keep going through this list, but I just want to impress upon people what I'm trying to do. What I would like to do with the Real Hustle podcast, whatever, when we launch that, is deliver information to people that want to make movies so that they can make movies the way they want to make them and express themselves. And probably, if they do it the right way, they will have success with what they're doing. And I would love to interview other people about their films and show their films and launch platforms in order for people to go watch their movies if that's what they want to do. But I would really love to get back to filmmaking just being a way for people to tell stories that matter to them. I don't make movies for the people out there. I don't. My idea of filmmaking isn't to be the next Spielberg. And it's interesting because as I get older, I used to think that that was what I wanted, but I don't want to be Spielberg. Spielberg is Spielberg. I want to be me, and I'm an artist, and I want to put my stories out there the way that I see fit. And some of them may include characters that are black, and some of them may include characters that are Jewish, and I'm neither of those things. Some of them may include characters that are trans, and I'm not trans either. But if you're determining and dictating to me what I need to have in my story, all it does is stifle people from telling the stories they want to tell. And it doesn't help anything. And that's the way I feel about that. Let's continue with shit that I'm probably never going to include in my stuff. Oh my God.
I'm like,
There's so many of them now.
even your crew has to be like
30% of the film's crew must be from at least two underrepresented groups. If you live in a white area, don't make a movie. Well, you can, but it won't be successful. That's what they're saying. Your story's no good because you don't hire women, racial or ethnic group minorities, LGBTQ people, or people with. If you don't have at least 30% of your crew
deaf.
that has cognitive or physical disabilities. Now, I don't know if you've ever been on a film set, but if you're a new filmmaker out there and you've never been on a film set, it's a fucking construction zone. But if you don't have those that set be wheelchair accessible, no Oscar for you.
That's absurd. Even the crew. That's
I'm
wild.
I'm like it's
Paid as apprenticeship and intern.
I really wish that this was a joke. I wish that I had made this list up. I think it would be the greatest bit ever. Can you imagine? I don't think if I had made it up that people would believe it.
Even the people who make the fucking trailers, bro.
Yeah. Audience development, representation and development, marketing, publicity, distribution, women, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ, the same list. It doesn't make any sense. The Africans and the Pacific Islanders, we all need to have all of them. If you're telling a story about Tennessee in the 1890s and you don't have a gay character in there,
That's fucking crazy.
an out gay character,
Yeah. Who's in a wheelchair and is deaf and is also gay.
and that's half slave black, that sneaks away from church to go to synagogue,
That shit sucks, bro.
it doesn't make any sense.
That's hot poop from a butt.
And you know what it does though too? It takes away from the real stories. It really does. And so they force you because maybe there aren't enough people that this is the thing. Basically what they're saying is people from these groups aren't good enough to make their own stories and movies about those subjects. So you're forced to include them because they're not good enough. If I was a black trans Jew, I would love to make a movie about being black, trans, and Jewish.
How many of those do you think exist?
It doesn't matter how many exist. I'm not that. And I feel like I would be doing a disservice to the those communities. And it would be this is why the Squid Games thing upset me the way that it did. Because you have to imagine a bunch of straight Koreans, men, sitting in a room going, "Oh, maybe she still have a dick.
No, don't look at her.
Don't look at the dick."
Or we all die.
How fucking transphobic is that?
Yeah. Put her just put like yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me, and I really don't like it. And I don't think that it actually helps anything. Now, there's another reason that I wanna do this new series as well. I kind of tend to blur the line, between this show and stuff like that. That is gonna be the Real Hustle is gonna be completely information based, and it's gonna be geared toward filmmakers, helping build a community, helping other filmmakers tell their stories and how to achieve that, in some form of success, whatever that metric is to you, that will not include winning an Oscar and capitulating to other people. That's number 1. But this show, the Nick Williams Show, is supposed to be about me and my life and things that are bugging me. Sometimes we talk politics, sometimes we talk current events and things like that. Sometimes I just wanna come in and talk to Max about my weekend. It's more of like a therapeutic thing. The other show will be way more structured, and I tend to want to talk about filmmaking things on this show, and we bring stuff on, and then we verge, we go off and tangents and everything else, and there's no structure to it, and I don't like that. But I still wanna do this show. I still like talking to you about those topical current events and things like that, Max, and I want to continue doing that. But I also feel like I am doing a disservice to my own community of people, yes, that includes Black and trans filmmakers as well, by not sharing my knowledge and how I'm successful and how I navigate the filmmaking world as someone who didn't go to film school and doesn't have that education. How do you network? How do you build stuff up? Because let me tell you, I know a ton of people who have graduated film school that work at Dunkin' Donuts. So how is it that I didn't go to film school? Not that I'm the most successful, but I have obviously some success, and I'm there was a time in my life, Max, where I was so stressed and I was doing everything that everyone told me was what I was supposed to do. I was 22 years old. I bought a house. Uh, I went on a vacation every year, as long as I could afford to, and I was never good enough. I would do I was in sales, finance. I was doing multiple millions of dollars per year in revenue and sales for the company, and I never felt good enough. I never felt successful. I was not getting a lot of sleep. I was doing a and I thought, "I'm gonna do this till I'm 60, and then I'm gonna die. And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll make a movie here or there, but I don't know how to be successful with that." And that's not what I'm supposed to do. That's what Steven Spielberg does. I am just a regular Joe Schmo that is not good enough at art to do anything or put anything else out there. And let me tell you, when you're that stressed and the answer to every question starts to become the same answer, which is the world is better off without you because you're not good enough. That's a very scary place to be. And I know this isn't the same for everybody, but I'm not kidding. There was definitely a day where I said to myself, why would I even get out of bed? No one gives a shit about me. And I don't give a shit about me either. And there's no point in continuing on. And I know this is going to sound crass and a little crazy, but thank God it happened. I started laughing at myself and thought, you're a fucking little bitch boy, aren't you? Because you know the answer and you are projecting out onto the world this woe is me bullshit. And if you want something out of life, the only person who's going to give it to you is you. So suck it up and start living life the way you want to live life. That's the conversation I had with myself. It doesn't happen like that for everybody, and there are a lot of people who aren't with us anymore because they don't have that little revelation. But doing things for other people, and I mean by their rules, not helping people. You should always help people, right? If you see somebody struggling, you should always help people,
Someone on fire in the subway should help them.
right? But when you start saying to other people, you can't do this unless you do it my way, they are going to start feeling like they're not good enough, and they're going to start dying. And it's a real thing. And if you're an artist out there, you're probably very emotional, just like myself. And you've probably had moments of feeling like I'm never good enough and I'm never going to be good enough, even if you're not an artist. But if you're an artist and you're working in finance, you're probably going to get there at some point. Okay. Because the two don't really mesh together. Now, I'm very grateful for the time that I spent in that industry and the knowledge that I learned from it. And it helped me grow my business because you got to pay the bills in the meantime. But the answer is never that you're not good enough. The answer is that you don't know how to achieve what you want to achieve. And that is what the real hustle is going to be about, is being able to take yourself from where you're at currently and implementing strategies and ways to do what it is that you want to do in your way. And I'm here to help promote it and help out with anything that I possibly can. And I would love if this was a more New England based thing, but obviously, if you're from another state, good for you. This will apply to you as well. Anyone who's not in Hollywood, anyone whose dad isn't like the producer of the latest Transformers or whatever the fuck, they can just give you a job. Yes, it's cool. Yes, they have lots of success and everything else. But there are tons and tons and tons of YouTubers out there who are filmmakers, who have made short films, feature length films. They just release them on YouTube and they get millions of views. Why does a little statue determine whether or not you're successful? Because to me, all the little statue does is determine whether or not you checked off all these boxes on their website. The movie doesn't even have to be good. So this is what I want to do. And these are things that I want to talk about. Because if I didn't have these little revelations, I don't think I'd be here right now. And I definitely would not still be doing what I was doing before. And that's how I feel about that. So these are my New Year's resolutions. They're real. I'm going to live by them. They're not bullshit things like I don't want to eat as much sugar or I want to, be a trillionaire by the end of the year or anything crazy. I just want to help some people and I want to make some cool shit. And I want to see other people feel inspired and want to make some cool shit. And so if that's you, subscribe, enjoy, laugh along, learn something new. But I'm telling you right now, it ain't going to be easy. And there's going to be a lot of harsh realities that I talk about on that show. And it's still me. So if you don't like swearing, I guess you can learn this the hard way by yourself without watching anything. But these are the types of things that I want to talk about. Max, do you have any New Year's resolutions that you want?
Uh,
Things that you want to improve yourself on this year?
I haven't really put any thought into it yet. I'm not there yet.
Spoken like a true Gen
I
Zer.
I'd like to hit the gym more. I'd like to get back into the gym. Last year I was pretty good about it, but halfway through the year, I was
See,
like,
that is one thing that I find interesting about New Year's resolutions is a lot of people who say things like, I'd like to do X, Y, and Z. What about what you're going to do? I feel like a lot of people these days, and I'm not trying to give you shit, but it's just based on what you just said. And maybe you've spoken correctly and whatever. Like, I'm not judging or giving you shit, but everybody says the same thing. I'd like to lose some weight. I'd like to go to the gym more. I'd like to be nicer to my spouse and stop beating them. I'd like, I'd like to, sober up and not drink anymore. But then they don't like, what are you going to do? How are you going to improve your own life in 2025? The entire world just got flipped on its head a month and a half ago.
yeah, I feel like we're still all collectively recovering from that.
Yeah, I don't see it as recovery. I see
It's
it
like
as
a hangover.
see, I don't see it as a hangover. I see it as like when you walk. Okay, ready, ready. Imagine being in a dark room, like okay. Let's break it down to something that everybody would understand. Imagine when you're sleeping and your mom and you're like maybe 12, okay? And it's Monday morning and you went to bed late because you stayed up playing video games or whatever you ended up doing. And it's dark and you are in a deep, deep sleep. But you have to leave for school in 20 minutes. And your mom comes in the bedroom and turns the light on and says, if you don't get your ass out of bed right now, I'm going to cancel Saturday and you're never going to fucking see the fucking, right?
Uh-huh.
How do you feel the moment the light turns on?
Ah.
That, to me, is where we're at right now. It's not a hangover, it's a wake up call. Everything is changing. Social media, no one gives a fuck about content creators anymore. No one gives it's all fake. The bubble popped on everything. The regular media, social media, these fucking wannabe influencers and people that are out there talking about products that don't actually help you. You scroll TikTok, you're a toilet scroller, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you seen people saying, "This is crazy. You don't just get one pair of sweatpants, you get two, not three," and they're taking off their layers of pants to create this thirst trap style of sales or whatever the
Yeah.
what a fucking waste of time. Nobody knows who these people are. Nobody gives a shit, and it doesn't fucking help anything. You're just selling bullshit products from places where they use child slave labor. It's all money based and they don't actually help anybody. I want to start the real hustle because I don't want to create a course that I sell online in some sort of click funnel, clickbaity bullshit. I just want to talk. I want to talk to other filmmakers, both this way and on an interview style here. I want to break things down and actually organize stuff. And I want to help other people. That's what I want to do. And I want to create a community of friends and show the world why I love this industry so much. This list of things that I have to include in order to be considered successful is not the way that I want to do it. And if you stuck around this long and you haven't subscribed yet, good luck to you. Good luck. Always. I always say good luck. I never say go fuck yourself. None of that shit. Good luck because I genuinely wish you all the best in the world. But I guarantee you, if you stick around and you hang out with us here, you will be more successful and you will absolutely need to hold yourself accountable. And the moment that you think things get difficult is the moment of growth, no matter what industry it is that you're in. Might be a little hard to do. But I think if you hang out with people like me and Max here at the old Wilco Media,
Just gotta rip off the band-aid.
you got to that's exactly what happened, I feel, in November.
Mm.
Was the band-aid got ripped off.
Yeah.
And some people are taking a little bit of time to adjust to that. I'm trying to seize the opportunity, not to make money, not to be uber successful. If we had 1,000 followers only that were all like avid filmmakers that just want to make movies that we all share with each other, that would be the coolest thing in the world to me because they would be real stories from, I don't care what stories they are. I would love to watch trans movies if they're made by trans people. If that story means something from an artist and you go, holy shit, they made this because this. Don't you say that about every painting?
Yeah.
Why did they make this? Well, this is where the guy lived. This was out his window, whatever. This is what he saw. And he blah, blah, blah. Think about the way people talk about painters. If you're a filmmaker out there, think about the way that people talk about famous painters from the past, famous musicians, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart. How do they talk about them? How do they talk about them in relation to their work? If you think that 250, 500, 1,000 years from now, people are going to look at your work and decide that it's a reflection of you, and all you did was follow this checklist, you're an idiot. What they're going to say is, there used to be a fucking thing where a bunch of people would get together in a room, and if they checked off all these boxes, they got a little statue. That's what they're going to say. But with Picasso, they're going to say he changed painting and the entire industry forever based on doing things the way he thought he should do them. That's what we're going to talk about. You got anything to say, Maximus, or can we end it there?
Uh, no, I'm excited for 2025.
So am I. And I think, regardless of anything else, I know that I'm going to put the fucking work in and I'll be right here every week. Now I'll be right here 700 times a week. And it's going to be a lot of work, but I'm willing to put in the work because I want to see a change and I want to see a change in a positive direction. And I hope you do too. So like and subscribe and join us. Everybody's welcome. There's going to be some jokes along the way and some of them might be offensive. but you're still welcome to be here. And I still want to hear and see your story. And I still want to help you achieve your goals. So, like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Adios.